Jasmine Jasovizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darce podcast.
The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live back at the Apex for a random-ass fight night event. It's Sergey Spivac versus Marcin Tybura as the main event. Oh, man, keep your guard up and enjoy this fight night card. Coming back from UFC Abu Dhabi, hey, at least we get more fights every week. I'm happy about it. And, man, interesting card where the favorites went 12-1 in Abu Dhabi. We had some dogs that couldn't quite bark for us. Slick, Mr. Plus, we like Loopy. She didn't come through. And Mr. Plus, some weird decisions. The one favorite that didn't come through was Victoria Dudikova. You felt like that fight could have gone the other way, maybe.
Definitely. I think it could have gone either way. And I would have been okay with either decision, which I was okay. But, you know, I was on the betting side of Dudikova. That was the only leg on the parlay bus that didn't hit, unfortunately. And I thought Sam Hughes was pretty fucking excited and didn't even realize that she won when she got her hand raised. She was, oh, my God, yes, thank you. Yes.
It was a close one. It was a tight one, man. That spoiled one of my Abu Dhabi parlays. But Slick, some crazy results. Of course, Umar Nurmagomedov showing some technical mastery, outstriking Corey Sandhagen, even when his grappling didn't totally dominate him. He was very impressive. What'd you think of that fight night card in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, man, I really woke up in the morning and I just said I'm tired of it, man. Me and my son have a first class flight to Dagestan. We will be there for the next 15 years, and you will see my son be somebody in the UFC because, man, those guys are just so good, man. I don't know what they got over there. I want to see what bears they wrestle, what they eat or something because, man, for him to outstrike Corey Sandhagen on his first in rankings, it was crazy to see, man. I don't know what Corey Sandhagen brought to the table, but we seen what Umar could do. So, props to Umar, man.
Yo, real talk. He was sharp, and you got to give it to him, man. Like you said, these guys, it's not even just the wrestling now from Dagestan. They're advanced in the striking. They've caught up in that department too. That's an absolute problem, and Umar was tactical. All right, guys, we got a fight night card to discuss. And some of my favorite fights are on the prelim. So let's jump right into the Brasco breakdown. And I'm going to give you two fighters to pair together to make yourself some money. It's a little chalky, but I feel very strongly about both these guys. And I think they're bringing home W's on Saturday night. First off, it's Youssef Zalal, the Moroccan Devil. Man, this guy has had a great comeback in the UFC. In his first stint, just had a tough go of it, right? Fought to a draw in a really good close fight against Damon Blackshear, guy that ended up being really good. He had a split decision loss to Sean Woodson, very difficult, rangy striker to deal with. But prior to that, had won a few fights against lower level competition, right? So has a lot of UFC experience, comes back after getting some experience outside the UFC where he's knocking dudes out. What does he do? He puts Billy Quarantillo away, man. He looked sharp as ever. And I think he's going to have a lot of success against this opponent, Jarno Aarons, who is a tough, hard-nosed fighter, but uses a lot of pressure. I think Zalal is going to use that pressure against him. I think it's going to be the bull in the matador. He's going to be, clocking off, catching him with shots as he spins off to the side. And if he wants to implement his grappling after he tags him up, he definitely can because Zalal is very good with his grappling game. Getting submissions as of late. So I really like how Zalal is coming up. I think he's higher level than Jarno Aarons. I think he shows that, and he gets an easy W. Obviously, he's a big favorite right now, guys, but I'm saying use him as a parlay piece now because he might close minus 500. So I got a minus 375. It's up to 400. Get it now. Guys, I'm going to parlay him with Danny Barlow. Left-handed god. Oh, my goodness. This guy is electric. The athleticism, the hand speed, the boxing. That left cross down the pipe is dangerous, and he's proved to me that I think he's really legit. He won a dogfight in Contender Series against a good opponent who had some promise. I believe Barlow was the dog in that fight, actually. And, man, they tangled up in the clinch. Barlow was nasty and won an awesome debut on the Contender Series, and then just showed that it's going to continue rising in his skill set with his absolute piecery of Josh Quinlan. So against an opponent like Veretennikov, who's a solid technical fighter, decent boxer at King's MMA. I think, again, the pressure is going to be used against him. If he wants to get into a boxing affair with Danny Barlow, he's going to get in trouble. I think he gets knocked out, y'all. So there's my spiel to kick off the podcast today and the Brasco breakdown. You get minus 149 on Danny Barlow and Youssef Zalal. Hammer down on it, guys. Now, I feel like my guys are going to be like-minded. Mr. Plus, how are we feeling about these two fighters?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too in depth because these guys are both on the parlay bus. I'll tell you right now, these are some great picks. These are easy reads, in my opinion. And the Veretennikov, don't get me wrong, he's a tough guy. Watch one of his fights. But the left hand of God, man, the speed difference is just going to be there for him, man. And that's where these guys are going to find themselves, on the feet. And you already know, I'm with Danny Barlow, left hand of God. I'm a believer. Follow him on Instagram. Big fan.
Speed kills. I totally agree with that. Slick, what are you thinking about this two-legger?
Yeah, I'm really high on it too, man. I think Zalal just proved to everybody that thought that he couldn't really get in a dogfight. He got into a slight dogfight with Billy Q on his comeback, and then he takes him down and then chokes Billy Q out. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first time Billy Q has even been submitted. So, and then Danny Barlow, man, I've been on this guy since the Contender Series. Everybody was on the other guy because he was a little muscled. He had got 7 straight knockdowns. But I mean, 7 straight knockouts, but I already knew what Danny Barlow brought to the table, man. So I'm not going to speak too much. If anything, I'll speak about it a little bit more on the parlay bus, but I love this two-leg.
Yeah, Raheem Forrest. He was actually the CFFC champion. He ended up fighting Charles Radke, looking back down the rabbit hole of random UFC fighters, funny enough. But yeah, good win there for Barlow. And he's, like Slick said, I mean, that left hand to God, just so dangerous. I hope that he keeps showing it off. I think he will. Looking out for props when those come out for knockouts, potential finishes in both of those fights. All right, he alluded to it already. All aboard the Mr. Plus Parlay bus. We got 2 legs to hammer down on once more, and then another one to round us home in the main event of the evening. Mr. Plus, who are we bringing home on the parlay bus today?
Let's drive into the cash counter again, boys, because last week I thought we had it and we missed by 1 leg. Honestly, just to speak a little bit more on Zalal, and not even Zalal, his opponent, Jarno Evans, just not a believer on him yet. And he's been here for a while, right? So for me to not be a believer yet, he's not going anywhere. I don't see his ceiling too high. He loses to good strikers like Sung Woo Choi, to William Gomis. However, we're looking at Zalal, who did what he did with Billy Q, like Slick said, in a dogfight. I got to lean this guy's direction, man. His ceiling looks much higher. He's a much cleaner striker. I think he's going to be more powerful, and I think he's going to have him in the speed advantage too. So I'm jumping right on with the same as the Brasco breakdown for sure, and the Brasco report. I'm right there with you, Brasco. Zalal, to start off the night, right after that girl fight, jumping right on him. Next leg of my parlay bus, right up the ladder. Here we go. Danny Barlow, left-handed God. Not much more to say. We just touched on it. This dude's a knockout specialist. He's just going to touch your chin. He's going to find it. The speed is there. I think he's going to be able to do whatever he wants, keep this on the feet. And this guy is definitely, his ceiling is high. We could see him moving up the rankings quick. And like Danny said, he's very electric. So you definitely want to be on this guy's side. If you like knockouts, Barlow by knockouts a really good play this week. And for the last leg of the parlay bus, we're jumping to the main event. I'm going with Sergey Spivac. This is a rematch. Sergey Spivac is now 25 pounds heavier. In the last fight, silly lay and pray Marcin Tybura. That's what, he's a wrestler. He'll take you down. He'll grapple, want you against the fence. I don't think he's going to be able to do it now that Sergey Spivac is so much bigger. Not to mention, he's got some hands for a big guy. I like Spivac. If he hits you, he hits you hard. And then his grappling is definitely better, right? So the wrestling might be better on the Tybura side, but that's about it. And I don't think he's going to be able to have the weight advantage like he did last time. So I really like Spivac, and 2 big guys, heavyweights, trying to at least move up. Number 6 versus number 9. I think Spivac does it inside the distance. Tell me I'm crazy.
Main event talk, right? We talked ad nauseum about Barlow and Zalal. You heard why we love them, but let's talk Spivac, Tybura. Like you said, they fought 4 years ago. It was a while back, and Tybura got the best of him. Different version of Spivac, probably a lot better now. Slick, I mean, for me, I totally agree with Mr. Plus. He's 9 years younger. The age difference is huge for me. Tybura, 38 years old now, coming off a knockout against Aspinall, of course. And Spivac definitely looks bigger, looks better. His striking's better. He's probably faster, too, if they exchange on the feet. right? If it goes deep, I think that he'll be okay to deal with Tybura, who's been in labored fights. What do you think? I think Spivac can get this one done as well.
Yeah, and you also got to think about the reversibility for Spivac that he's been showing in a lot of fights. I think that if Tybura does get him down on the ground, I think Spivac has shown great sweeps, great reversals. And the one thing I really like about Spivac is that he doesn't just lay and pray there. He's going to ground and pound. He's going to hunt for that arm triangle. So in the sense that if this ends up being a 5-round decision, I think Spivac is just going to have the more bigger moments. Tybura could probably land the overhand right here and there. But I think Spivac is definitely the one, the more combinations. And these two guys, at the end of the day, you can't really even talk about blemish their losses. Like their last 2 losses Spivac's last 2 losses have come to Saragon and Tom Aspinall, and then Tybura, his 2 losses has been Aspinall and Volkov. So I think this is going to be one of those fights that one of the guys get the better of the reversals and the sweeps. And I think I trust Spivac cardio a little bit more in the sense that I think even if he's tired, I think he could do more on the feet and just welt more in that 3rd round and just put a little bit more out. Tybura in those 3rd and 4th rounds, 3rd rounds that we have seen, he just basically clinch, and that's how he wins a lot of fights. So I'm not really too high on that in today's game plan. So give me Spivac.
It could very well be just a heavyweight slobber knocker if these guys are each other's equals. It's a close fight. It goes deep. Man, we're going to see a clinch and grind fest and just 2 polar bears just rubbing shoulders and foreheads up against each other. But I do think that Spivac can win. I agree, a grinding affair if it does play out like that. So we're all on Sergey Spivac. I think he gets this one back and keeps moving on up the charts at heavyweight. Tybura, good veteran, has been around forever, but I think he takes the loss as the gatekeeper for Spivac here. All right, guys, let's move along to the Slick Report. And we got an underdog to talk about. Not too many dogs worth taking a stab at on this card, but Slick's found one. Who do you got?
Yeah, man, we're gonna go with the girl that's just known as the girl that ran away from somebody in the cage and was trying to go home. We're gonna go with Chelsea Chandler, man. I think Chelsea Chandler could just be the bigger girl in this fight. Yana Santos has just shown that she could get out-wrestled, out-grinded by Holly Holm. Almost had 12 minutes of control time against her. I just don't think this is a great spot for her, especially coming off that loss against Carol Rosa, where in that fight, she actually showed a little bit of striking, but it was just more of the sense that she wanted to stop Carol Rosa striking, so it was just more of a clinch fest. And I think Chelsea Chandler, in the sense that I know she can land the bigger punches, I know she can get the takedowns, and we've seen in her last fight, she actually showed some good fight IQ. She wasn't there trying to stand and trade with a good power puncher like Josanne Nunez, and she was taking her down, staying on top, landing the bigger punches on landing the ground and pound. So I just think Chelsea Chandler just has more opportunity in this fight. Yana Santos is on a 3-fight losing streak, all coming through dominant, Irene Aldana smoked her, Holly Holm dominated her, Carol Rosa outstruck her. So I think it's gonna be a fight that Chelsea Chandler just gets on the up and up. She's ranked number 14, so I think if she gets this win, she'll be at least probably go up 1 or 2 more rankings and just keep going. Honestly, keep it a bean. I think she's just a weight bully, man. She's missed weight before. I honestly think hopefully she makes weight here, but she just balloons to 145, 150 at fight night. I saw an interview that said she fought at her last against Nunez at 155. She ballooned to. So hey, man, I know she's gonna be the bigger person in this fight. I know she's gonna land the more damaging shots. She's the younger fighter, and Yana Santos is just one foot out the door. So give me Chelsea Chandler as my dog.
I like it, man. Case made for Chelsea Chandler, who Slick led off with her most embarrassing moment, man, against Norma Dumont. Got hit with a shot and ran away literally turned around backwards, back to Dumont, sprinting away, ran into the cage as well. It was an ugly moment, but she is better than that moment. It was a bad matchup. It was too much too soon for Chandler. She can win grinding fights like that. And like you said, Santos can just get clinched and just outworked in clinches. I feel like that's exactly how Chandler wins this fight. Slick, is this fight at featherweight or at bantamweight? Because if it's at 145, I love it for Chandler.
Nah, it's at 135.
Okay, still at 135, like you said. Hopefully she balloons up to 150 by fight night. She can weight bully her and just grind away in the clinch. Mr. Plus, what are you thinking about this underdog play?
I really do like it, man. She's part of that Nick Diaz army. She's a thug. She can definitely throw down on the feet. Yes, she was running away from Norma Dumont, but before that fight, she rinsed Storlyarenko, right? KO, TKO. What was that? Ground and pound. So yeah, I do like her. I think this is a good pick by Slick, and I'm leaning the dog on this one too.
And, beating Josiane Nunes, I'm like, okay, good comeback. Josiane Nunes is dangerous. She's got explosive power, so that's a good win for her. I like it, man. Chelsea Chandler as the younger commodity to get it done at featherweight. That's got to be a dead division right now. Are there any featherweights like Ramona Pascual? Cal?
It's a dog or pass if I ever saw it. That is a definition of dog or pass. Although I can talk shit about Chandler because I'm on Norma Dumont, huge in that fight, and everybody was talking shit. But she did run. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen in the cage in my life. But I think she gets her hand raised in this one, and I think it's good plus money.
It was so bad. But we're willing to forgive and forget. And obviously, there you go. Cal's on it too. All right, let's go, Chelsea Chandler. Cash for the squad this week. You might have more to say about her. In the next segment, it's time for the dog. Well, I just accidentally muted myself. It's time for the Darce Parlay, guys. We're already here. Everett. And, man, we got a couple more fights to talk about that are worth discussing on this card. Mr. Plus, your leg of the Darce is one we haven't covered yet. It's a matchup between some good grapplers. Who are you bringing for your leg of the Darce this week?
Yeah, this is a tough one, and this card's tough in general. I mean, I kind of like a couple dogs, maybe just as good as this play, but I got to go with the bigger fighter here. I think he's going to be stronger in the octagon, and I just like the wins that he has better than Filio. I'm going with Alan Nascimento. This dude looked good in his last fight with the rear naked choke against Carlos Hernandez. I just think he's going to be the bigger, stronger guy in the octagon. They both got pretty okay striking, and they're both grapplers. I'm definitely leaning Alan Nascimento's side. Don't get me wrong, Filio has those subs to O'Day Osborne and someone else. I got to lean with my guy, Alan Nascimento, man. The only thing I guess I don't like about him is how inactive he is. A year and a half for his last fight, 2 years and 2 months before that. I'd like to see him fight a little bit more often, but other than that, I do think he comes in and gets this win.
Yeah, I lean towards Nascimento too. Good grapplers here. We saw Jafel Filio in an interesting fight against Muhammad Mokaev where he had him in danger with a knee bar at one point. Mokaev got out of it, ended up submitting him. But yeah, like you said, Nascimento, good grappler, but just fairly inactive. Slick, he had fights canceled against Suma Durji, Tim Elliott. He's finally here. He has a win against Jake Hadley that ages well after Jake Hadley's good win. And Carlos Hernandez, like Mr. Plus said, choked him out. He's a tough dude. So, we know Nascimento's slick grappling skill. Is he ready for this dub and to keep, his career trajectory going in the UFC?
I just think that this could be a veteran's lesson for Filio. Like, he's the type of guy that he would just pull a knee bar from out of nowhere, try to get somebody's back some way, somehow. And against a great grappler like Nascimento, I just think, like, this could be, like, perfect example, like that Pantoja and Erceg fight, like where Pantoja was the best, where it was good to get to the next spot to stay on top and just get out of those reversals. I just think Nascimento could do the same thing. If it gets into a scramble or something, I think he could get the best part of it and just stay on top. And we've seen Nascimento, he doesn't really hunt for the subs. If he takes the opportunity, he takes it. But we've seen against Jake Hadley that he's more than happy to just lay on your back or lay on top, or if he gets that back, that body triangle, he's real good at just basically not even hunting for the sub, just making your life miserable. Even though Filio is more dangerous on the ground, but I just think Nascimento is I think he has the more better wrestling to get the fight down to the ground. Like I said, Filio is more pull over knee bar type of guy. That's how he gets the reversal. So I really like Nascimento in this spot. I think he gets like a 29-28 win.
I like the way you put it too. Nascimento probably just too good on the ground to get Hail Mary knee barred right by Filio. So dangerous, but Nascimento too savvy on the mat. I like that. What's your
just to back? Sorry, I'm jumping in again one more time, and I won't jump in too much this podcast. I made a point, but Nascimento is one of my heavier spots. I got to back Mr. Plus. He is going to be the bigger, stronger guy. He's never been subbed. His win condition is submission. The only way that Filio is really lost is by submission, rear naked chokes. So he'll play around on the ground and try to attack these, opportunistic situations. Nascimento is way too smart. and I just can't see him losing this fight at all. So Nascimento for me by submission right now, plus 150. The line will come out in most books later on in the week. That's when most of us can hit it. But by submission and parlayed, great pick.
I like it, man. We're looking for the sub here. Yeah, Filio, if he takes chances, he'll give himself up to get submitted. So I definitely like that look there from Cal on the 1s and 2s. All right, Sleg, who do you got for your leg of the darts?
Yeah, we're gonna go to where the well is right, man. I think we're gonna go with Yusuf Zalal in this spot. I just think Yusuf Zalal. One thing that we know about him is, one thing that I'm gonna chime in about Aaron's is that he has been taken down in every single one of his UFC fights, including against the striker and Stephen Ngo in his last fight. So I think Yusuf Zalal honestly could get a rear naked choke or a sub in his first takedown. So not Yusuf Zalal is a nice hammer spot for everybody this week.
There you go. If Stephen Wynn can take you down, yeah, Zalal can definitely get his grappling going if he decides to. All right, guys, I'm going to close it out with Chelsea Chandler. I mean, she's the dog that we all like. Might as well throw it in the Darce. By the way, we're going for 4 Darce parlays in a row, I should say. We hit our 3rd last week. We've been killing it. So anyone in the podcast that's been tailing, let us know in the comments you've been cashing in. I heard from a bunch of you guys last week. We love to hear it. Let's keep it rolling for the squad. Chelsea Chandler, we told you why we like her. Weight bully. Just get in the clinch, get nasty, and grind your way to a win. Put this on the floor. Keep control. Stay busy with ground and pound and get the W. That's how we see it happening. And that'll make it a plus 296 Darce parlay with a little dog action in there. What do we think, Mr. Plus? Is that good? Is that good?
Is plus 300 good, guys? 3-1. I mean, when you're at the racetrack and you pick a horse that's 3-1 and it wins, you're very happy. Yeah, I'd say that's really good. I like all the legs. I like where we're going. And if that guy that Slick was talking about still rolling over the bets, I mean, 4 in a row. Whoa, we're about to be hitting ladder challenges and stuff. What's going on?
Oh man, if you've been compounding them, you're about to be rich if we hit this 4th. That's awesome. I'm glad we have Nascimento in here as well, too. I wanted to get him in a play, so that's cool. All right, we got plenty of fights to talk about still. So let's go to the honorable mentions, the ones we haven't talked about that we need to. There's some interesting fights, some that I don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. I got to get your opinions and your guys' leans at least. What do we think about Toshiomi Kazama versus Charlampos Grigoriou? Say those names 10 times fast. This is a weird one. I mean, Kazama, I'm not sure if he's UFC material. He's a road to UFC guy. We saw him get knocked out by Garrett Armfield recently. He got back-to-back losses by stoppage. And Grigoriou, a guy that I actually bet on against Chad Anheliger in his last fight. I was fairly confident. He's a Serra Longo guy, so I thought he would be well-trained and poised to get a win here after a Contender Series win. He's got kind of a fiery style. It can bring the menacing pressure. And he just didn't have it for a tough, experienced guy like Anheliger. It was a disappointing performance. So, yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I think Grigoriou can bounce back with a win, but it's not as a minus 220 favorite a fight I'm running to bet. Mr. Plus, do you have any action on this fight at all?
I don't. I really don't. I don't think this Kazama kid needs to be in the UFC. I think he gets cut after this fight if he loses, which, I mean, I guess this is an okay opportunity for him. If Chad Anheliger can get it done, maybe he can too, but I'm not betting on this. And I would say the pick is Gregorio, but I'm staying very far. Slick, would this be considered a good time to take a Henny break?
Yeah, man, because at the end of the day, you just can't trust Gregorio. Like, he came into the UFC in the Contender Series, got a crazy knockout over a pretty touted prospect in Smotherman. A lot of people had Smotherman in that fight. I think Gregorio was actually like a plus 180 dog in that fight. And then he comes out, just doesn't strike at all against Chad Handlinger, and just plays the wrestling game like he's Marab for all 3 rounds. So I just don't know what I'm getting in this spotlight. I would like to bet him because I just don't trust Kazuma's speed and his chin in his spot. I just don't think he's a fast striker, and I just don't think he reacts good to people that have speed. And Gregorio, at least in that first fight, has shown that he had good speed if he could put you against the cage. So I just don't know what I'm getting from him. Maybe bet him by KO or decision, get close to minus 150 around there, minus 140. But if I don't get them odds, if it gets like minus 170, I'm not touching it. At the end of the day, he got to prove it to me that I just don't know what he's going to be.
I just wanted to say Kazama has that horrible striking defense. He is he blocks with his face, as my co-host would say. So I can't trust that. And then Gregorio, like his last fight, he didn't throw any hands. So what's really going to happen here? So I like to see Gregorio throw some hands. I'm sure he could get it done if he does. We'll have to wait and find out. I'm skipping this one altogether as far as betting goes. The pick's Gregorio, since we have to make a pick.
Yeah, maybe when props come out, I'll take a sprinkle on Gregorio inside the distance because he's got to be regretting that last performance. Maybe his grappling can succeed if he goes for that against this guy whose takedown defense doesn't look great either. Along with his striking defense, by the way, yeah, prior to that last knockout against Armfield, got smoked by Rinya Nakamura's left hand down the middle. That was brutal. So maybe a third loss by stoppage is loading. That's the lean, though. We all lean Gregorio, not looking to really run to the counter as a big favorite there. What about Pani Kianzad, plus 170, taking on Carol Hossa? Carol Hossa, one of my favorite names to say, minus 205. Mr. Plus, you leaning dog in this one? What do you think? He's muted.
My bad. I am boo me. So I am kind of leaning dog. She's going to be the bigger girl in there. This needs to be like a bounce back spot for her if she wants to stay in the UFC. She is getting a little bit older. She's a little bit older, 32 to 29. But she's the taller girl. I just think she's going to be bigger. I think she could be a little bit stronger. I don't know, but her fights are absolutely boring. So I will say that, be wary of this one. It's not why it's one of our top picks. It's an honorable mention. But I'm kind of dog or pass on this. Her strength of schedule is just so much better. I got to back it up. She's been here for a long time. And before she went on this skid, losing the last 3 out of her 4 fights, I did better like 2 fights in a row and make some money on her. She's been in the UFC for a minute. So I think her win was against Alexis Davis, and I had her there. So yeah, I'm going to go back on the Kianzad side. She's been fighting some really good competition. Kieson's a good loss at this point. Even the Vieira fight wasn't that bad, but it was bad for her, but it's not that bad of an L, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I'm taking a shot at Keon's out here at plus money, maybe for half a unit, something tiny.
Pani has fought some decent comp, like you said. Ketlin Vieira, Macy Chiasson. She's a win over Lena Landsberg, tough fighter. Alexis Davis, Sajara Eubanks lost to Raquel Pennington, who's the champion. So, she's fought some decent fighters. Carol Hossa, slick, coming off a dog fight against Irina Aldana. Man, I had a big bet on Aldana. She made me sweat. Aldana just responded with all the fury back. But that was a freaking awesome fight, by the way. What do you think of her coming into this matchup? Does she deserve to be a favorite?
I honestly think the line is just a little bit too wide. One thing we know about Pani, like, she's gonna throw a lot of fucking strikes. Like, she, like, in her last couple fights, other than fights that she gets grappled, she averages 100+ strikes. Like, she knows how to put the volume out there. And this could be a fight that I just don't know how Cara Rosa is going to come out to fight this fight. Like, she has good, solid takedowns, but there's some fights like against Irene Aldana, a straight up boxer. You would think that she would try to get the wrestling going in that fight. And she said, nah, we're just going to go head to head, punch for punch. And if that fight gets somewhat close in this sense, it's totally favored to go to distance. I don't got props now, but I can already tell. I think Pani Kianzad can make this fight a little bit close. Like, at the end of the day, she's not one of those types of girls that if she loses this fight, she's probably going to get cut from the UFC. I think she probably has like 1 or 2 more fights in her. And Cara Rosa the same thing. So I think Pani Kianzad is going to make this close with the volume. Unless Cara Rosa comes out here with a whole wrestling heavy game plan, I just don't think that she's going to stop Pani from shooting her, pulling punches out. Because we've seen Pani put the volume out against some good girls. Sajara Eubanks, a good power puncher against Lena Landsberg. She's shown good ability to put out the volume. So I just think that there's some fights that, like Ketlin Vieira lost, she just basically got held down, even though she outstruck Ketlin Vieira 2-1 in that fight. And they basically gave it to Ketlin Vieira because of her clinch control. So I just don't know how this fight is going to be caught. But at the end of the day, if this fight is close, I want to be on the dog side. Like I said, Pani Kianzad is one of those girls that fight for your money. She's going to put out the volume unless she gets clinched for 3 rounds. So give me Pani.
There you go. Wow. Full case from Mr. Plus and from Slick on Pani Kianzad. You guys making me believers. I'll lean Carol Hossa, but I ain't betting it. And they'd like Pani for a lot of reasons. Yeah. Interesting fight. All of a sudden, I'll be tuning into that one. Very keened in. All right. What else we got? Stephanie Luciano. Lucky Luciano over here. The mobster. Minus 190 against Talita Alankar. Plus 160. This is a rematch. They fought to a draw, Slick, on Contender Series. Weird. Plus 160 dog. Is she going to come back and bark after drawing?
I really don't want nothing to do with this fight, honestly. Like, this is just a henny break as it is, because you got a girl that got dominated for 2 rounds, clearly dominated for 2 rounds, and then she ended up 10-8 in a girl that got death gassed in the 3rd round. So I just don't know what made her, like, she clearly got dominated in the first 2 rounds, and if the girl doesn't gas, she'll probably dominate her in the 3rd, because Stephanie Luciano just can't stuff a takedown for shit. I could trip her and she falls. And then Talita has bad as cardio as me in a pool. Like, as soon as I get in a pool 2 seconds in underwater, I'm up. Like, I'm good. Like, so I can't trust neither of these girls. Something could happen in this fight that we don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm cool. I'll probably take the over in this fight. I don't see this fight finishing. So other than that, I'm staying away from picking a side. Maybe dog or pass, because we gotta pick a play. Dog or pass for me.
He said, I'm up. Hey, man, that's what I'm thinking. She's the dog, but Mr. Plus, she had 2 rounds in the bag until she gassed. If she brings a better cardio, a better gas tank, she should have this win, right? I'm leaning dog. What do you think?
I'm all over the dog. Luciano hasn't fought since their draw. I'm going with Alencar. She looked better in her last fight. She went the distance, hard 3 rounds, split decision. That was 7 months ago. She's been active. She got a fight in the UFC since, and she's got another one facing this rematch that nobody wanted. But yeah, let's go with Alencar plus money. And yeah, I agree. Luciano might get 1 round this time. Maybe it'll be a 10-9 this time instead of a 10-8. And then Alencar wins the other 2 rounds. Easy peasy. I think we get the W there with plus money to start the night off. Only thing I don't like is the age gap. Luciano is the younger fighter. Should be fresher with this much time off. 24 versus 33 years old. But I'm still going Alencar to get the job done. I think if she can hold her down like she did in the first fight, no brainer.
Yeah, right. And also she might have that mental edge too. Like, all right, I had you. All I got to do is bring my cardio. All right, man. You guys made me believers. Talita Alencar, it is. Dog sprinkle.
You guys oddly have a take, like a big in-depth take on a fight that you don't give a fuck about. It's quite interesting. I'm glad that people. No, I'm just messing with you, but it's good. I love it, man. People are going to tune in.
I'm probably betting that one. I'm not going to lie. It's an honor.
No, I love it, because for me, I didn't really have a take, and you guys are bringing me back.
That's what I mean. Like, it happens live on the podcast. You start chopping it up. You get a take here. You hear a point here. Oh, you know what? I'm on that side now. I'm convinced. Let's go. Hopefully you guys listening are either convinced or convinced of the other side, whatever it is that you're doing for the information here. So good take on a fight that most people probably won't be too keyed in on. I like it, guys. We do have one more fight that I saved to the end to talk about, because it's probably 2 more fights. 2 more fights? 2 more fights? Definitely. Which one do you got?
Heavyweight. Well, we didn't do dogs of the week, but Carl Williams fight. Carl Williams and Denise.
That's right. And I moved right past the dogs of the week. That's crazy. We'll pop it in at the end. That's crazy. Wow. I'm just moving and grooving way too fast for my own good. We will get there. And that we'll talk about in the dogs of the week, which we'll put in at the end here. First, though, Chepe Mariscal taking on Damon Jackson. And this is one of the best fights on the card, I think. Really good matchup between 2 guys who can last in dog fights. They have absolutely no quit in them. Good grappling, good scrambling. Jackson improved striking, and he can push a pace now. He shows that he can go toe-to-toe with guys like Alex Hernandez and get a W in a good grinding close fight. And Chepe, we've seen plenty of the same, right? Awesome fight against Trevor Peek, back and forth brawl. He's up for a barn burner as well, and this one very well might play out like that. Jackson is the dog, plus 180. Chepe minus 220 favorite. Slick, what do you think of the odds? What do you think of side?
I will be the first to say I am 0-3 in Chepe fights. Like, I've been betting on against this guy all 3 fights. I bet against him Jack Jenkins, Trevor Peek, and fucking Morgan Charrier. So honestly, I'm not even gonna say I'm gonna just say Damon Jackson. I'm gonna go with Damon Jackson because, hey, I'm 0-3. If Damon Jackson loses, I'm 0-4. So, but I just think Damon Jackson there's a path to victory for him. Chepe doesn't really have great takedown defense. He does attack subs when the fight is on the ground. But I think Damon Jackson gets that half guard, gets it rolling, and just gets real good top control. So Hey, I lean Jackson, but like I said, I'm 0-3 in Chepe fights, so don't take my word as it is. I lean Jackson, but I probably won't be betting this fight.
Slick gonna keep rolling the dice against Chepe. Is it gonna keep coming up snake eyes? I don't know. Yeah, that Morgan Charrier fight was his last bout. Close one. I had Chepe. I thought I lost it. The internet probably thought I lost it too. Got the W. Here he is. He could get grappling control, Mr. Plus. I mean, the leech, Damon Jackson. He gets a hold of you. It's tough to get off. What do you think about the matchup?
After Chepe whooped Trevor Peek's ass, Slick, I learned the hard way on that fight. I went big on Trevor Peek, and never again. I took Chepe from then on against Jenkins and against Charrier in the last one. I do love this kid. The thing that I don't love in this fight is the line. I think the line is crazy. You're gonna Chepe's minus 245 or whatever. The line is too wide. This should be a pick 'em if anything. I mean, you can't just give Damon Jackson plus 200. I don't understand where that's coming from. I don't see it. This guy's a vet. He's been here for a minute. His wins are still good, man. The Argetta win when it happened was great. The Sabatini win when it happened, that was like Sabatini when he had all that hype and shit, and he knocked him out. I mean, I don't know, man. Damon Jackson's just not somebody you sleep on. And when you're getting plus money, you don't get that kind of plus money on this guy all the time. Chepe, when he's plus money and he's a dog, he will fight for your bread. And I love him at plus money, but as minus 245, that's like I got to put him in parlays. And I can't put anyone in a parlay against Damon Jackson because you can never count this guy out. I don't know. I liked his last fight against Alex Hernandez. He got the job done, split decision, but I thought he had him better than that. I could have seen 29-28 all day. And yeah, this is a really tough one to pick just because of the line. For me, like the pick, I guess, is probably Chepe, just because they might not be wrong on the line, but the bet from me would be on Damon Jackson.
So you don't like the odds for Chepe to bet him. You think the betting values on Damon Jackson. Yeah, like you said, I like the way you put it. Like, he's not going to give up. There's no quit in him. And if you're parlaying Chepe, you're going to be scared if it comes down to the last line with Jackson on the other side of you, right? So I agree. I do think, though, I'm picking Chepe as well for my official pick, just because I think he can last in the scrambles. I think he can handle himself in the grappling exchanges with Jackson. That we'll see about that, but he's just so like slick wherever the fight goes in Chepe's kind of wild style that he creates. He's rolling with shots. He's on another angle. He's throwing winging shots. He's adding combinations together, 4, 5, 6 punches. He's mixing and grappling. Like, he's so active that wherever the fight goes, I feel like I trust him to be able to take care of the moment. You know what I mean? What do you think about that, Slick?
Yeah, and the one thing that Damon Jackson has to do in the first round is get respect on the feet, because Chepe is one of those guys that he will just push forward with reckless abandonment because he has a granite chin. And if he doesn't respect you on the feet, he's just gonna keep pushing forward. Like, even against Morgan Charrier was hitting with some mean ass body kicks that anybody else would have been backing up. And Chepe just kept coming forward, kept coming forward, kept coming forward. So, like I said, Damon Jackson has to get respect on the feet early. Maybe hit him with like some type of knee, hit him with some type of kick, hit him with something, and then have Chepe at least hesitate a little bit. But man, sometimes Chepe does get over aggressive too. And maybe like against Trevor Peek, he was trying to Hail Mary hit Trevor Peek with hooks, and Peek will just duck under and he'll fall. So maybe he tries to get a little aggressive with Damon Jackson, could be his downfall. But man, like I said, Damon Jackson has to get respect on the feet as soon as the fight starts.
I got some advice if you're betting. If you are going to put Chepe in your parlays, I wouldn't put him in the same parlay as any parlay with Sergey Spivac. Make Chepe your last leg so you can hedge on Damon at plus 200. And it might even be plus 250 by the time this fight goes off if people are leaning the Chepe side. So I would just keep them in separate parlays so that you can always hedge on some good plus money on someone like Damon Jackson and guarantee some profits.
There you go. Cal, what do you got for us?
Just one bit of insider information. I won't give my whole breakdown on it, but Damon Jackson only had one full camp of wrestling where he was able to actually implement his wrestling in his last camp. Why he looked so good against Hernandez. He's had torn pectoral muscle issue, and that's been running. Like, he couldn't even take Danny Gay down once, and that was part of the game plan. He had to try to take him down. It didn't work. He couldn't grapple at all. He had to stay on the feet with him, and unfortunately, we know how that finished. So he's probably the healthiest he's been in a really long time. So I think the line is a little bit off. And I think that the way Mr. Plus, like I'll take my bias out of it right now. I think the way Mr. Plus just said, if you have a parlay set up with Chepe on the end and you hedge with a plus money Damon Jackson, you're laughing in that fight.
I like the way you guys are thinking about it for sure. Very interesting breakdown there. Healthiest he's ever been. Then Jackson should be dangerous. He was very dangerous against Hernandez. You know, his elbows are good too inside. Maybe, like Slick said, if Chepe gets a little reckless on his entries, maybe he gets cut with something, and that could be big for Jackson there. So interesting. I'm seeing this as a close one. I'll probably have the over 2.5 rounds, if anything, in a parlay, right? I think these guys go the distance in another barn burner. Could be fight of the night. All right, guys, it's time for the dogs of the week. And let's let them bark this week, man. Favorites went 12-1 last card. Some dogs got to bark here. It's just math, right? Well, we shall see. And I'm going to let Mr. Plus kick off the first dog of the week because it's a fight we haven't talked about. Heavyweights going at it. Who do you got?
We're talking about this Carl Williams versus Johanna Denise. And I like this Denise kid, man. This is a pure kickboxer. So it's kickboxer versus wrestler grappler. Carl Williams is the lay and pray of the heavyweight division. He beat up the bottom back barrel. You should not lose to these guys if you're an up-and-coming UFC heavyweight like Chase Sherman and Lucas Brzeski, Justin Tafa, 6-footer against them. I mean, obviously, Carl Williams is going to have some success against those guys. He takes them down, he lays on top, and they can't get up. That's great. I think he's going to have problems with Denise, a bigger guy. This is probably the biggest guy he's ever faced. I obviously know what happened in Austin Lane fight. Austin Lane even took him down, but that's a really big dude too, 6'6". So I really like this Denise kid. I think the boxer's going to prevail. I think he'll stuff some of those takedowns, and at least if Carl Williams wins that first round and he can make it out of the first round, which he will because Carl Williams only wins by decisions, Denise will turn it up, start hitting him with those big shots, and like you guys said, have more moments. And sometimes when you guys talk, the bigger moments. I think that's what he's going to have. Tell me I'm crazy, but I'm taking the dog.
I don't think you're crazy, man. This fight scares me either way. I think Denise is definitely alive because he is the sharper striker. I mean, Carl Williams, any striking he has is to set up his wrestling. He's a American top team, right? Atlanta top team guy, I believe. So wrestling. And like you said, he's lay and pray. Once he gets control, he just stays just busy enough to keep position and grind it out. Like you said, lower level competition he's done it against. But to your point, Denise did get taken down by Austin Lane. Slick, does that concern you, or do you think Denise can keep it standing and light Williams up with his explosive striking?
Yeah, I mean, I told myself after betting on making money on Carl Williams' last fight, I told myself I will never bet him ever again. I will fade him forever. And this is just a spot that I honestly think that Denise, the one thing that we've seen in that Austin Lane fight is that he wasn't scared to pressure even after getting taken down in the first round. And the other guys that Carl Williams has fought, Lucas Brzeski, Chase Sherman, they was just backing up their whole fight, not trying to implement no type of striking because they were just worried about the takedown. I think this is just a dogger pass for me because I honestly don't want to watch 3 rounds of crotch sniffing. At the end of the day, Carl Williams is one of the worst guys. He doesn't go for ground and pound. He doesn't go for subs. He legit just lays on you. And he's been doing it for a lot. He's been successful a lot, but I just think at the start of every round is going to be hell for Carl Williams. So I don't want to be on his side. I'll be fading him. I'll be throwing like a half a unit on Denise.
I like it. I think I'm convinced too. I want to throw a half a unit. Like maybe too after you do that against low level guys, right? Chase Sherman and these guys, like you're not getting finishes. You're not even going for finishes, like Slick said. You're not even hunting submissions or ground and pound. Maybe he has a shorter leash this time. Maybe the referee stands him up, says, "Hey, Carl, come on, man. You can't just win fights like this." Maybe get the little directive at the UFC Apex this weekend, and Denise gets his chance to knock him out. I'm with you guys. Let's go, Janata Denise. Slick, who's your dog of the week?
Yeah, man. I mean, we basically touched on this fight. I'm gonna go with Panny Kianza in this spot, man. I think Panny Kianza is definitely merited of that plus money. You know, like I think she, like I said, out volumes Cara Rosa and just keeps the fight on the feet, makes it more closer than what these odds suggest. So my dog of the week, I'm gonna throw half a unit on Panny Kianza money line.
There you go. We covered it already at length, way more at length than I expected. A lot of these fights. Panny Kianzad worth a shot for Mr. Plus and from Slick. Very interesting. And the fellas already made the case. We all did. We're going to go over. We're going to beat a dead horse here. Chelsea Chandler, the weight bully, will be my dog of the week. I'm with these guys here. Let's get it done. If we can come through on Denise, Chandler, Kianzad, we'll be looking pretty good. I think those are the sneaky spots to attack in terms of dogs on this card. I like the looks there from the whole team. Good stuff, guys. We got a plus 296 Darce Parlay. That's spicy with a dog in there. We got plus 165 on the Mr. Plus Parlay bus with two of the same legs in my breakdown. I'm just going straight chalk with Zalal, Barlow, and you're going Spivac. Main event, we're unanimous, guys. We all like Sergey Spivac. Let's say one more thing about the main event. Cal, do you want to chime in on the main event as well? Spivac versus Tybura. Anything to say about Tybura?
I mean, I see what you guys are saying about Spivac. I'm actually on the other side of this one. I just think that 4 years isn't that long ago. I think that Tom Aspinall is the champion, and I know he's on your wall on a poster, and he is that level. He is like the top of the top, and that's not a bad loss. So I think we're just sort of going on what we think as far as is he done and is Spivac surging. Like we're looking at momentum and we're sort of guessing at it. But I do sort of see it. It could be a case of him getting back that rematch and winning it. But I don't know, man. I like the plus 130. Heavyweights be heavyweights in the first place anyways. These guys are sort of middling. So now we had already be on the plus money out of the gate with that. I'm going to go with who won the fight last time. He got 2 takedowns in that last fight. He won on the feet, out-volumed him. I know it's not the same fighter, but I'm sorry, guys. I'll stick back behind the ones and twos. And the Don't Tap podcast sort of sucked last week. So I'll just shut my mouth and go back here.
Cal said his picks from his podcast didn't go too well. Hey, man, that's why I asked. I knew you're usually a contrarian in these kind of spots, so I wanted your opinion anyway. Mr. Plus, any rebuttal for Spivac in the main event?
Yeah, I mean, he was 230 pounds. Now he's 255, and he's full of muscle. He gained 25 pounds of muscle. He looks big. He looks strong. I'll have to see him when he weighs in and then really get a good look at him and when these guys face off right before the fights, because what's today? We're doing this Monday night. We got a whole week in front of us. But, yeah, I think Sergey Spivac also has the higher ceiling. Tybura's got as far as he could go. He can't beat the guys in front of him. I think he's going to start losing a couple of guys behind him. And Brasco even said he's 38 now. That 4 years, I think, affects him a lot more than it affects Sergey Spivac. I don't necessarily care that it's the same guys fighting. Being 38 now, I'm 36, man. 4 years ago, I could bank. Now, I don't know.
You are right. I am 40 years old, and I feel like a bag of shit.
Just saying.
4 years ago, though, you would have seen Mr. Plus and Cal and leading the welterweight division right now, coming up through the rankings. So there you go. 4 years not always created equally, y'all. All right, Slick, any final words on Chelsea Chandler? You think that she could close as the favorite? You think it's worth jumping at her at this price tag?
Yeah, honestly, I think the line is probably going to get a little bit closer once people start really locking in, because UFC, the lines really don't move a lot throughout the week because people still betting baseball and stuff like that. Lines usually move Saturday, the day of, a lot faster than anything because half the time UFC is the only thing on at late night. So, hey, man, I think Chandler could definitely get to the favorite.
Late steam and action in the UFC is wild. Like, you'll try to beat a lot of favorites, too. You can beat the line early in the week. That's like a tried and true method. But sometimes, man, dog money comes in. The line moves 50 points one way or the other, and you're like, holy shit, what's happening? So always watch for that, guys. But we're filming on a Monday. Take that into account. Hopefully we can beat some lines, and hopefully you can cash some picks with your boys at the Darce podcast. Mr. Plus, you got one last thing to leave people with?
Yeah. Joel Alvarez is a bad man, and I will bet him every fight till forever.
Oh
Let's go. I tailed that one, Mr. Plus.
21 wins, 21 finishes. The guy is a problem. All right, y'all. UFC Fight Night, Spivac versus Tybura. From myself, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and Cal on the ones and twos. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button on your way out. Leave a comment. Make sure you're subscribed. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We got MMA picks here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Mr. Plus, parlay bust, bet it all in trust. Jabs and hooks, it's all about the rush. Put it down on the underdog, never hush. Odds stack high, feel the thrill, that's a must. And I'll see you when that shit cashes.